If you're a high-achieving woman who's exhausted by stress, stuck in constant conflict, and tired of being overlooked in the exact rooms where you know you were born to lead, then this podcast is for you. So here's your host, Paula V. Jane.
Welcome to Her Boss Brain, the podcast for high achieving women who are ready to take control of their life and activate their boss brain. I'm your host, Pallavi, an international speaker, facilitator, creator of the Lead from Within program and ATM framework. Today, we are diving into something so many of us carry silently: the Superwoman Syndrome. It sounds powerful, even flattering, but behind that cape is often exhaustion, overwhelm, and the quiet fear that we're failing at everything. Let's talk about how to solve the problem of never having enough time, of constant burnout and overwhelm we feel every day. And as a result, be able to give more to our family, to our workplaces, to our career, and to ourselves. Let's begin to lead your life like you mean it. A usual rush morning for Michelle was unfolding when her typical teenage daughter rolled her eyes and said, "What's new about you leaving early? You never have time for us, anyways." Michelle sighed, shrugged her shoulders, and she rushed to her car as she was really late for work. She grabbed her Starbucks coffee and sat in the front seat. As she was scrambling, placing her meeting notes in the rush, she missed the cup holder and spilled the hot, creamy coffee all over her front seat. Her hand was slightly burnt, and it smells like coffee beans all over. As she put some paper napkins together, trying to find a moment, car zipped through, honking hard at her. Now, what would you do in this moment? Well, what she did. She screamed her lungs out, but of course, kept driving. Finally, she reached work and she walks into the conference room for a board meeting. Her heart was pounding, her eyes full of sadness, sweaty hands, chaos in her head, but the typical CEO Michelle had a big smile on her face, determined to show, as always, that she had it all under control. Cheers, excitement, fresh pastries, flowers, mint chocolates were spread through the room as everyone waited for Michelle. Heads turned, eyes lit up, just seeing an amazing, strong woman enter the room. She started the presentation, but in the middle of it, suddenly there was a loud noise and white papers up in the air. There was Michelle on the floor, with racing heartbeat, tears in her eyes, ice cold hands, hit by a panic attack due to a burnout issue she didn't even recognize. The fact is, so many more Michelles are hidden in the workforce today. You have mastered the art of looking composed on the outside while falling apart on the inside. You're the go to person for everyone. And even on the days when you get it all done, you go to bed and you wonder, why do I still feel so behind? Right? We have all felt that. Women tell me all the time, if I just had one more hour in the day, maybe I could breathe. But here's the truth: it's not about having more time. It's about having more control over your inner world so time doesn't own you. We have been conditioned to think asking for help is weakness, that resting is laziness, that if you're not exhausted, you're not doing enough. But that belief system is a one way ticket to burnout. I mean, look at you. You're killing it at work, managing the project, mentoring the team, maybe even crushing it at home and with school drop offs and dinners. And yet, no one knows that while you're smiling on Zoom meetings or showing up at your kid's recital or a competition, you're also quietly drowning with that inner voice, still whispering, I can't do this anymore. Is that you? And this is exactly what we call the superwoman trap. And it's burning out some of the brightest women I know. Here's a fact for you: burnout is highest, okay? Burnout is highest among mid career women, especially those juggling work and caregiving, according to a McKinsey report. Now, don't get me wrong here. Many men are in the same boat. But when we look generally, okay, women are more stressed and it impacts their health more critically, also because, as I mentioned in my last episode, they internalize stress. And data shows that women get more autoimmune diseases because of this internal struggle and holding of these emotions, pain, resentment, guilt. Yeah, we all know about that, and stress, thus triggering their SNS, which is the sympathetic nervous system, or your stress response, on a constant basis. That's supposed to be triggered only in emergency situation, but it feels like we're always in emergency. And that's why your body gets exhausted and we get all these diseases and symptoms that we feel in our day-to-day life today. According to a recent study, many women feel they have to overperform. That's the word. Overperform to prove worth, which fuels the superwoman pressure. You see? Now, the question here that's worth asking yourself in those moments is, are you trying to prove your worth to someone else or to yourself? What is it? Maybe holding on to something that was recorded in your memory as a kid by a grown up or an authority figure, and now that same response coming up in the form of your own negative self talk or belief, which is creating that biggest obstacle for your own sanity. Something like that Michelle was thinking. If I don't stay on top of things, everything will fall apart. That's what Michelle was thinking. If I don't stay on top of things, everything will fall apart. And that belief wasn't new. It had followed her for years, ingrained from past experiences. Growing up, she had always been told that mistakes weren't acceptable, that she had to take charge or she'll be left behind. She had learned to always be on top of things, to never let people see her struggle. And here she was, overworked, resentful, constantly frustrated that no one seemed to care as much as she did, and finally in the boardroom with a panic attack. It really needs to stop, my friends. And no one else can do this for you but you. It starts with you stopping to pretend that everything is fine and that you have to do everything. Stop thinking, oh, maybe tomorrow is going to be better than today. Let me ask you this. If we keep doing the same things, okay, and we expect different results, is that ever going to happen? So, when you are saying to yourself, oh, I'll have time to rest tomorrow, or somehow magically all these tasks are going to vanish. Hello, spoiler alert, that is not going to happen until you change your actions and choices today. If we kept letting the day define us and our mood and being reactive to the various demands of the day, then we will feel all puzzled and overwhelmed. So we got to activate our boss brain and take charge of our day. And in order to stop this overwhelm, this overstimulation of the gazillion directions our brain starts to race, we need to control it to win this race against time, against chaos, and distractions. And this race can only be won with one strategy that begins at the starting line. Our morning, when the day begins, and so does the endless tasks. So when we wake up in the morning, I want you to remember that is your golden time to activate your boss brain. Like I said before, I need you to go into that closet when you wear your clothes, put on that boss brain to remind yourself to be on self start. I'm going to give you another secret of our inner technology today. By the way, when I say inner technology, I mean how our body, mind, emotions are wired, and how we can now finally use that wiring to work for us, not against us. Okay? So, science shows that just after waking, our brain is a natural reset mode. So, it's like a software update, waiting for instructions. Okay? And that's our moment to program intention before the world's demands hit us. This is the time when your natural brainwave changes from subconscious to conscious states, and it creates a neurological sweet spot, okay, for rewiring the brain and reprogramming subconscious patterns. Now, for my science loving women, little more info. So, what happens is upon waking, your brain transitions from theta to alpha to beta brainwaves. Okay, so it moves from theta to alpha to beta, moving from a dreamy subconscious state into full alertness. Now, during this alpha state, which is within the first 20 to 30 minutes of waking, your brain is highly impressionable, meaning whatever thoughts, emotions, or stimuli you encounter can imprint strongly and shape your emotional and cognitive patterns for the day. That's how powerful it is. Now, if you start your day with stress, which is emails, social media, news, the dings and the buzzes and everything off your phone, you train your nervous system to stay in high alert or this reactive mode all day. It feels that's normal. That's how I need to react, right? Now, on the flip side, starting with calm, clarity, intention helps your brain stay in a more regulated and proactive state. You have trained it to have response flexibility, which is your ability to respond in that moment between the stimuli or what's happening in the outside and how you respond to it. There's this room there which gives you the flexibility of how to respond to that situation rather than react to it. So, by becoming aware of one's unconscious thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, and then actively choosing to change them, we get ahead of the reactive phase we find ourselves in when we otherwise start our day. So, I'm getting to a morning ritual is what we need, which is, again, setting aside that intentional time just for yourself. This has to be sacred to you, okay? No compromise on this. So rather than starting your day with technology, which is the absolute worst way to start, full of distractions, overload of emotion, information, demands, constant comparison with what other people are doing, right? Choose intentional time for yourself. Now, if you make it a priority, it will happen. Okay? So start small, but be consistent. Now, it could be anything, but it needs to be just for you. Simply sitting in silence, a cup of warm coffee or a beverage or something in the quiet of the early morning, movement, so any kind of exercise, meditation, journaling, walking or sitting in nature, gratitude, reading something more inspirational, something positive as you start your day, music, anything for you that resonates with you. But this will help you amplify your focus, your energy, and your emotional regulation. The first 5 to 15 minutes after you wake up aren't just a warm up, they're your brain's command center for the whole day. Use them wisely, and you're setting up your boss brain for calm, clarity, and control. Waste them on autopilot or stress, and you're programming your nervous system to run the day on fumes. That's how powerful it is. Now, the same way this transition happens at night when you're going to sleep from these different brain states, right? So, we need to also institute a night ritual. Again, it could be 5 minutes, it could be 15 minutes, whatever works for you, but being intentional of that time. So, what you do before you sleep have a strong impact on your brain again. And in general, I mean, good sleep is so underrated, but it's essential. Okay. So, number one thing that I would suggest you do, again, it's up to you, phones on silent at least 1 hour before you sleep. No watching news before you sleep. That's the worst way to go into your sleep with all this negativity. I mean, it's unfortunate. I mean, there's so much good also happening around the world, but the news channels only show the negative, right? So don't consume that before you go to bed. Again, put some intentional time, do some intentional reading, some reflection of how your day went, where you could have done better. Talk with your loved ones, sit in silence, right? For a few minutes, doing nothing, taking a shower, do something for skincare, massage your feet, pamper yourself, whatever makes you feel good and relaxed. Again, it doesn't have to be hours, 5 to 10 minutes of that intentional time, and being intentional about how you want to now transition into your relaxed state, into your recovery state of your body does wonders. Okay, I know exactly what you're thinking. I know. You're going to say, she started the episode by saying, we are going to create more time for you. And ironically, she has just added two more things for us to do now. I know. I know that's exactly what you're thinking because I thought the same thing before I tried it. This is what I want you to do. Take a deep breath and stay with me. Okay? I'm not asking you to add more tasks, okay? But rather, we're going to swap them with something that's less productive. And I'm just asking you to be a little bit more intentional. So, in sum total, these changes will actually make you feel more energized, create more time for you, and you're going to be much more effective. I promise you. Okay? All right. So, stay with me. So, first of all, let me start by saying that you don't need more hours in the day. You need more intention in your actions. Okay. So, number one thing we are going to do is I want you to know your priorities. What are your non negotiables? Believe it or not, we often add tasks in a day which don't have much return or which are not important. So, it's very critical, it's very important to know what is that critical, important stuff. And if you are like me, run by your calendar, then I want you to put those tasks on your calendar first. Those are the items that go on your calendar first. Now, when you get them done, your internal reward system will kick in. You'll feel so good by knocking all those important stuff out, and you'll be able to finish the smaller task like a breeze, you know, with that amazing feeling of accomplishment. So that's number one tip. Do only one task at a time, please. I know we all say, I'm great at multitasking. Well, the fact is that your brain cannot multitask. It just moves so quickly from one task to another that you think you are multitasking. So do yourself a favor and save your brain from exhaustion with more focused task completion. Okay? Build in some wiggle room in your week for unexpected life to happen. There is fun in being open to that, as the definition of life is change and unpredictability. So don't fight that. Welcome that. Some of your best blessings and breakthroughs come with this openness and unpredictable situations and opportunities that show up that you didn't even think could happen. You're going to be so much more powerful, impactful, and efficient when you do that. So, in grand scheme of things, that 30 minutes of time for yourself or 15 minutes or 45 minutes, whatever that is daily, is not going to add more time in your day, as you're going to be more energized, more clear, and more focused when you're working. Okay, so now the third tip for you is know your peak performance window in the day. Everyone has it, and it is unique to you. I want you to monitor your activities, your emotions, how you feel in your body for 2 to 3 days. Just pay close attention and you will know when is that window, when what I'm talking about, and you will know what I'm talking about. That's the time when you're really energized and you're at the brain like excellence or genius zone, and your brain works much faster than normal and you have the fullest energy that you need. So strategically, now once you know what that window is, I want you to strategically put your most important task that needs focus or is urgent or demands the most attention in that window. You can also figure out what's your circadian rhythm, which is your biological clock of when you sleep. Okay, that will also make you more productive. You can figure it out, you can just put it online and you can find what their circadian rhythm is. You'll be surprised how much you get done in so less time once you figure out this peak performance window. It's insane. Okay. And now imagine once you've figured it out and you're consistently doing that every day, you'll be able to knock out so many things so much more effectively and efficiently. And now the last step, but the most important. You ready for it? All right. Okay. This is what I want you to do. Stop draining your energy on stuff that is out of your control. And second thing is, if something is exhausting you mentally and emotionally, then it is time to stop, pause, and ask yourself, why am I getting so drained when I'm talking to this person, or I'm doing this activity, or I'm thinking about something? Why is it exhausting me mentally and emotionally? And check if there is an unhelpful story that is running behind in your head for that situation, that is annoying you, that is making you angry or unsettled or nervous. We learned about the negative bias of our brain in our episode number 2. That negative bias makes us keep reliving those old unhelpful stories that you have created. So we need to stop that cycle. We need to stop that cycle by stop focusing on the problem, and we want to look for solution. What can I do? And if you can't do anything, or this is something that's out of your control, then please let it go. It's not worth your energy and your time. We're going to learn about, present moment and how 80% of our stress and our exhaustion and the energy leaks and the time wastage that we do is because of this constant struggle of reliving the past or worrying about the future. I'm going to go into the details, but for now, I want you to recognize what are some of these stories that you've been keep telling yourself and you waste your time and energy in constantly reliving them. Okay? All right. So once you institute some of these tips during your day, institute a sacred morning and night routine and do it consistently for a few weeks. I need you to tell me what difference you felt, because I promise you, you will. With that morning ritual alone, actually, you'll be able to make better decisions, respond rather than react, because you don't feel that overwhelm driven by the external world and the demands that are constantly being thrown at you. Rather, you're grounded within and you're focused on what really matters to you. And when you do night routine, you will get a much better sleep. You will know yourself better, which will help you in better memory consolidation, creating of these new neural pathways for your boss brain that will take you slowly and steadily from stress, burnout to joy and success. In organizations, a lot of team members and leaders are struggling with this same issue. Productivity is dropping and teams are disengaged. You know why? Because they are also stuck in their own internal mess. This overstimulation of the world, this constant comparison, personal and professional commitments, unlimited distractions. And when this intentionality from within is missing, they are unable to take control of their day. Which, what happens then? It spirals into frustrations, teams snapping at each other, conflicts, disengagement, and a culture of overwhelm. Now, when I do my workshops for these organizations, they are amazed at the results they see and feel across the teams, because none of this is hard. It is just we need to know, we need to first have this awareness of this inner science. How does this great gadget, this great equipment work? And then translate this knowledge into daily action by being intentional about it. If there is one thing I recommend above anything else that we have talked about today, and this is for everyone, okay, not just for women, I want you to institute a sacred space and time just for yourself every day. 15 minutes or 1 hour, that is up to you. Start small and slowly and gradually increase that time. Spending time with yourself, by the way, doesn't mean mindlessly doing Instagram and just scrolling or passively just watching TV and consuming more of whatever, right? It really means, when I'm saying spending time with yourself, is spending time with your inner self, out of the chaos and the unlimited demands and data of this external world that's being thrown at you. If you really think about it, okay, there are a total of 168 hours in a week. 168 hours are there in a week. Now, if you divide them, okay, in three equal buckets, you get 56 for sleep, 56 for work. That's like 40 hours per week plus the extra time we devote on commute or thinking work matters over the weekend or whatever. It seeps through everywhere. And then 56 hours for you and your family. Now, this last bucket of 56 hours is even bigger if you do not sleep 8 hours every day, or if you do not spend 8 hours every day at work, or if you're not mindlessly wandering on social media all day. Got you. But that's true, right? So, when you look at it this way, can you see that if you be intentional about your time and the choices you're making, it is not the matter about having more hours in your day, but what you do with that time you have consistently. And carving out only 1 hour per day just for you, which is 7 hours per week out of the total 168 hours. That's not too much to ask. Michelle's story could have ended differently, and so can yours. This week, give yourself that 1 hour because your future depends on it. Remember, your power isn't out there, it's within. So pause, plug into your boss brain, be on self stream, and I'll see you next week.
So that's it for today's episode of her Boss Brain podcast. Head on over to Apple Podcasts, iTunes, or wherever you listen and subscribe to the show. One lucky listener every single week that posts a review on Apple Podcasts or iTunes will win a chance in a grand prize drawing to win a $25,000 private VIP day with Pallavi herself. Be sure to head on over to her bossbrainpodcast.com and pick up a free copy of Pallavi's gift and join us next time.